Greetings, everyone. Rambling Collector here, back with another book review for all of you today. And today, we're going to be talking about Max, the newest addition to the Dead Souls series by author R.I. Polsgrove. And can I just say, and start it off with, that they have done it again, with another fantastic piece. Now, Max is a very different one, as it focuses on another character that was introduced in the prequel novel of Quinn. Now, Max plays the part to Quinn about being an actually good father figure as well as a mentor. But this goes more into his story, such as how he became a vampire, and more importantly, how he knew Quinn's grandmother, Hattie Hallward. Now, what I like about the story so far is that it dives into both of them. It switches back and forth between the perspectives of Max, a simple man of the land, and Hattie, a daughter of nobility. And I like how the first half of it is like this simple cookie-cutter romance of the two of them learning life together, with Hattie herself craving freedom and then giving the chance to Max, taking a chance to run away from home with him and live out a simple life in the country, which she thoroughly enjoys. She grows attached to doing the simple household chores, such as doing laundry, planting crops, even cooking food. And I liked how Max himself was always pondering about whether he would be able to give a good enough life for Hattie, seeing as how she did come from nobility, but she was miserable before then. And I will say, I like how the first half of the story is a cookie-cutter style romance at first, with just them growing together and learning to live their lives together. It's sweet, wholesome, but we both know it's not going to have a happy ending. With the fact of eventually Alexander Hallward, aka Quinn's grandfather, finds Max and Hattie, challenges Max to a duel, and from there Max ends up dying but being restored by a vampire, and Hattie goes on to be forcibly married to Alexander. From there, the story, the second half of it at least, goes back and forth between the two characters, with Max learning how to be a vampire, and Hattie just trying to live her daily life, but feeling her spirit being crushed by Alexander and his constant abuse. And in the end of the day, like I said, it doesn't have a happy ending for this couple, as Hattie eventually snaps after giving birth to a child, and then after that, dealing with Alexander's constant abuse, it eventually broke her, to the point where she first mutilated herself, and then went on to jump off a cliff, in hopes of being reunited with her lost love, whom she did not know was still alive at the time, as an undead vampire. And the sad part of this all is, if she'd maybe held out just a little bit longer, they could have been reunited. And I gotta tell you though, there are two characters in here that I absolutely despise. Alexander, of course, being an obvious one, but also Charles. Charles, the vampire who taught Max about how to be a vampire, how to fight, how to be a soldier within the vampire ranks, serving Lord Nightwood. He was a pompous ass. I kept having to constantly see him just degrading the romance between Max and Hattie, constantly saying, why should Max be happy when I lost my child and wife myself? Why should he be happy? Why should he care? He should just move on with his life. And I wanted to look at this guy and be like, dude, just because you lost somebody doesn't mean you need to be an ass about it. Hell, even the other vampires didn't like him, with the fact that he kept on acting more like a king amongst their ranks. Which, not gonna lie, Max's revenge when he figures out that Charles is the one responsible for holding him back, kept on saying, we will rescue her in time, you just need to train more first. And because Charles kept holding Max back, it eventually led to Hattie winding up dying, and Max was too late to save her. So how does Max react to all this? Oh, he takes some sweet revenge against Charles, which, not gonna lie, I thought was absolutely satisfying. And not gonna lie though, I really like the simple cover art for a lot of these. It's the same way with a lot of the other books, for example, Cora, Midnight Kiss. all of them having very simple little icons. For instance, Max, of course, is the obvious one, being a sword. But then you've also got others like Cora, which are more like an apple, or Midnight Kiss, which is like a pair of vampire fangs. Kind of on the nose with that last one, but you get it. Anyways, I will say Max was definitely a good one, and I understood the fact that there was never going to be a happy ending with these two. But even so, I desperately wished that somehow Max would still be able to save Hattie or something. But history was already set in stone. And I will say, it did actually bring up another interesting character, that being Lance, whom I've heard from the author themselves is also going to be getting a backstory short story. And I personally cannot wait to see what else this author comes up with. I love the fact that R.I. Polsgrove is managing to create a literal MCU of literature, with 2 main books of the series of Dead Souls, or I should say 3, 2 main novels, and 1 spin-off novella. But then Into the Darkness, for instance, they have a ton of books, mostly short stories, that all connects together and ends with Quinn, the signature novel of Into the Darkness. Now, I've heard that there's another one going to be focused on Lucas in the future, and I cannot wait to see that one, because Lucas by far has been one of my favorite characters. And mostly, that's all I really have to say, but if I were to give Max anything for a rating, I'd give it a good, let's see here, good, I want to say 10 out of 10, but let's go 9.5. Mostly because I feel like this one could have been a novel by itself, but I'm content with it just being a short story, at the very least. I would have liked to have seen more of Max in action, but that's just me personally as a vampire lover. Regardless, though, I definitely enjoyed the dive into Max's backstory, and it makes the fatherly relationship he builds up with Quinn all the more tragic, because when you think about it, if history had gone any other way, Quinn could have actually been Max's grandson at some point. And that is the biggest tragedy of it all, that at some point, Max and Hattie could have had a happy life together out in the country, away from nobility and all that stuff, and Quinn could have possibly grown up a simple life on the farm in the country, with Max as a grandfather, if maybe not a father. And I like how the both of them actually have this connection because of it, the connection of loss, in a way. Not to mention, Quinn himself being absolutely against being called a lord. He simply wants to be known as Quinn, the same way Hattie, in her own right, just simply wants to be known as Hattie, not Milady, not Lady Halberd, just Hattie. And I can personally respect that a lot. Anyways, you guys, I think I've ranted long enough about this book, but if you're curious to pick it up for yourself, the book is now available on Amazon in a really nice little paperback, as you see here. After that, I will say, give it a shot. But if you want to see some of the other works that I've reviewed by R.I. Polsgrove, I will leave a link to the playlist up above me, and I hope you all will enjoy it as much as I have. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for listening. This is Rambling Collector, signing off for now. Have a great day, fellow readers.